Are you feeling at the moment that you are the man that will be holding the balance of power after this election?
That's the plan, to be the kingmaker and to hold the balance of power. And all indications currently is showing that we are that party. I mean, we only competition we have in that terrain is a party run by another madman called Julius Malema.
Gayton McKenzie has been getting a lot of exposure lately to the wider English-speaking populace of the world, the Americans and the British. And in this video here, he really describes the EFF boss, Julius Malema, in a very strange light in his introduction to the British people in this interview. Let's listen to what he has to say about the EFF and Julius Malema, and I'll be back for some analysis.
Well, the South Africans have a general election on the 29th of May. And there is a new party. Well, it's not that new. It's been around a decade, but it's beginning to make some gains. It's called the Patriotic Alliance. It is led by Gayton McKenzie. He's the president of the party. Some say that he is the African Donald Trump. I don't know, but I think it's about time a British audience got to find out who this man is. Now, Gayton, welcome to the program. I have to say, I've never started any conversation with a political leader by saying that he was in former times a gangster who spent some time in prison. But I understand that is your background.
Thanks for having me, Nigel. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be on your show. Well, you know, as I said to you, in South Africa, you had two choices growing up. You could either say yes, boss, which was a derogatory term, not where you understand boss. You had to say to white people, like my father did, they had to bow before white people. And he said, yes, boss. Or you could decide, listen, I'm not going to do this. And I was from the generation that said, I'm not going to do this. And crime was a career choice for me. And I got involved in crime at an early age, went to jail, spent my whole youth in prison. Then I realized crime doesn't pay. I lost my whole youth. And I came out and I said, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. Fortunately, I became very successful. I wasn't a successful criminal. I became a successful entrepreneur. And then I look at my country and I'm like, my country is being overtaken by illegal foreigners. Country is going backwards, and the majority of our problems is bad government, but also the inability of the government to see the harm that illegal foreigners are causing.
It's very interesting. I mean, I've seen Gayton in the last few weeks. There have been some by-elections in the Cape, in which your party has started to get some impressive scores and to win some seats. The latest polling I saw puts you on about 10% nationally. So, you know, you could well be the person holding the balance of power, given that the ANC are now down below 50%. Are you feeling at the moment that you are the man that will be holding the balance of power after this election?
Well, that's the plan. That's the plan. We want to be the kingmakers. We are already kingmakers in the city of Johannesburg, and we are already kingmakers in other towns in South Africa. We want to have 10% of the vote, and we will then decide who's going to be the next president. We might choose ourselves. But that's the plan, to be the kingmaker and to hold the balance of power. And all indications currently is showing that we are that party. I mean, we only competition we have in that terrain is a party run by another madman called Julius Malema. And he is also aiming for the spot of becoming kingmaker, but I think we want to beat him to it.
Yeah, so what do you guys think? I think, you know, this election really, the Gayton McKenzie is really proving to try to be at loggerheads with the EFF and also the DA as a strategy to position himself in the divide, this really almost violent divide, political divide in South Africa. And you know, his story is really touching. It's almost like a really touching story, like kind of like the movement from being a gangster to being a presidential aspirant. It would really sell a lot in the media, newspapers, you know, media outlet. It would really be a grass to grace story, so to speak, if he becomes president of South Africa. Although he himself usually says that he's the kingmaker. So the position of the PA and it's what it has gathered in terms of the electorate, the space it has gathered gathered in terms of the electorates, positions it as a party that is a kingmaker. So where there are difficulties in trying to make really solid decisions on whose votes actually leads more than the rest, and also a choice for presidential choice for South Africa, the PA represents the kingmaker who would either give their vote to this or that in order to sway the decision on who will be the next president. And he's really clear about that he's the kingmaker, and the PA, the Patriotic Alliance, is the kingmaker. But also in his description of Julius Malema, in how he described Julius Malema in this video, I think it's really strange because I don't know how, this is exactly how, these were the words that were used to describe other dictators in history, like even Hugo Chavez of Venezuela has been described in this way, as a madman, or probably something even worse. Hugo Chavez was actually described as somebody who had a mental issue or mental breakdown, psychological disorder. Idi Amin Dada, Uganda, there have been despots also that has been claimed, the likes of Adolf Hitler and all that. So these are kind of like the names in which these agents of history have been described. And for Gayton McKenzie to be referring to Julius Malema in this light actually tells a lot about how the PA sees the EFF in terms of its land policy, in terms of its foreign policy. And it's also almost like when the EFF was designing its manifesto, the PA was actually looking at all the points in that manifesto and designing the direct opposite. So while the EFF and Julius Malema's foreign policy is to have an open border policy where Africans are able to move freely in and out of South Africa and all across Africa, Gayton McKenzie is of the opinion that he would deport all the illegal foreigners. Anyone who is illegal in South Africa would be deported. And you can almost feel that clash between their policies, and it's almost like both parties are at loggerheads in terms of policies, and it will really be an interesting parliamentary set of sessions if Gayton McKenzie makes it into the parliament after the elections, and how the debate with the EFF and the PA members would actually look like. I think it's something I'm eager to wait and really start analyzing after the elections on the 29th of May. But I don't know, what do you guys think about this speech here in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please share and like and subscribe, because that's the way you support Kwazemi as a channel, an Afrocentric channel, where we try to understand deeper issues in African history and hopefully develop a collective intelligence on how we wish to build the Africa we want to see as people of Africa. See you in the next one.